Hi everyone, my name is Sandhya and this is I Am Voice Live. Everyone expected the new year to be a gift from God, sent to save us from coronavirus. Well, newsflash, it is the literal exact same as last year. So, as a consolation prize, let's take a walk down memory lane to the days when we did normal things, like normal people, pre-corona days. Number 1, groceries. We used to go to the grocery store. Children would ride on the sides of carts, people would shop for stuff on their list, maybe strike up a philosophical conversation with the cashier, and come home. It might be a pain putting all the groceries away, but it was much better than now. Now, we use delivery. So if we ask for kale, we get lettuce. We ask for cilantro, we get celery. We ask for tomatoes, we get tomatoes. And there was this one time when we got cranberries for absolutely no reason. It was a 1 pound bag. I mean, what are we supposed to do with that? Then, once we get everything we never asked for, but nothing we actually wanted, we have to wipe it all down with Clorox wipes. One person will get the groceries from the car and give it to the person with the Clorox wipes. Once the life has been scrubbed out of the object, the last person will run it to the kitchen. So, thank you, coronavirus, for the family bonding experience known as groceries. Number 2, haircuts. Before coronavirus, we would go to the barber shop, maybe watch a video while getting a haircut, and voila, very simple. But now, it's my mom giving the haircuts in our house. And she did fine the first 2 times from my dad. I personally didn't want to risk it, so I've been growing my hair out. But today, she cut my dad's hair. And it was fine until the end. My mom was adding the finishing touches when I entered with my usual subtlety, aka none. So she startled, her hand moved a tiny inch, and that is how my dad ended up driving to the barber's with a bald spot above his ear. And he came back with the sides of his head pretty much bald because his hair could not be saved. There was a little hair on top, though, like Jack from The Incredibles. I know that a lot of us have been struggling this past year, but it's going to get better. And know that in your heart, no matter what happens, this new year cannot be worse than the grocery store's delivery system. Bye, everyone.
Hello everyone, I'm Aarav and welcome to I Am Voice Live. Drones, the unmanned aerial vehicle. What are drones? Drones are also called unmanned aerial vehicle or UAV that can be remotely controlled and fly autonomously through software-controlled flight planes, which work with onboard sensors and GPS. As per journal reports, widespread drone use began in 2006 when the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency introduced UAV to monitor the U.S. and Mexico border. The usage of drones. Military. In the early days, military drones were of a very basic form, which used to spy and monitor across the border. Today's drones are much more advanced and are equipped with thermal imaging, laser rangefinders, and even tools to perform airstrikes. Emergency rescue. Sometimes it's just not safe to send humans into a rescue situation due to the scope or severity of the disaster. That's where drones come in. In the case of a capsized boat or drowning of an individual, officials can throw a drone into the water to assist the rescue. Outer space. There are rumors that NASA and the US Air Force drone that looks like a miniature space shuttle is quietly circling the Earth for the past 2 years, setting a record for the longest flight from an unmanned aircraft. Examples of drones are doing good around the world. One good example is Zipline. Rwanda was just the first country to carry blood to Gakoma Hospital in 2017. They gave plasma to a 10-year-old boy, Gene, from a zipline drone. Law enforcement. Aside from surveying areas where terrorists are hiding, Drones can also be used to identify the locations of criminals and the right plan of action if criminals are holding hostages. Types of drones. Some types of drones are single-rotor drones, tactical drones, large combat drones, and micro drones. Thank you, and that's it for my speech about drones.
Hey everyone, I'm Siddha from I'm Voice Live. And I'll be telling you guys about the new strain of COVID-19 that was recently discovered. All these politics, riots, protests, violence, and the inauguration of our new president has been blocking our newsfeed. And we haven't realized that the coronavirus is mutating before our very eyes. Experts are saying that this virus is much more contagious than the previous virus. Doctors said that if you are exposed to this new strain, you have a 40 to 70% chance of getting it. Luckily, this strain has relatively the same mortality rate, and it's predominantly in the UK and South Africa. But this strain has been discovered here in Texas, which rises the fear among many parents and children. If the mortality rate is relatively the same, then is it a big deal? It is a huge deal. This could indirectly lead to a higher mortality rate because more hospital beds will be taken and quicker. How to prevent this new strain of COVID-19? Just like the old strain, soap and water are your best friends. Just make sure that you're singing happy birthday twice, around 20 seconds. And don't forget to wear a mask because a mask prevents you from spreading the virus or receiving the virus. Thank you.
Wouldn't it be great if you heard something just once and be able to recall it word for word? That's memorization at the best. Here are 5 tips to memorize things faster. It could be a script, vocabulary words, or just some information. But keep in mind, memorization takes time, so don't expect yourself to just do it in a minute. Tip number 1, use acronyms. This works best for facts that have something similar to each other. For instance, if you play music and use the treble clef, you probably know the acronym E, G, B, D, F. This sequence of letters is very important when reading music. To remember these letters, you can say, every good boy does fine. Tip number 2, connect words with things you know. This works best for vocabulary words. For example, a year ago, I wanted to remember Colombia's capital. Colombia sounded like Columbus. Columbus traveled in a ship. Ships are normally brown, and brown starts with the same letter as Bogota. So Colombia's capital is Bogota. Okay, maybe that was a bit far-fetched, but because it was so crazy, I remembered it. You can use this technique, but in a much simpler way. Tip number 3, associate words with images. Visualization helps a lot. For instance, you're trying to memorize a script. Divide the script into 5 sections. Associate an image with each section. Now, you don't have to think of so many words, but just one picture that says it all. Tip number 4, listen to your recording. For example, record yourself saying your speech, then listen to it over and over again. You know when you listen to a song a bunch of times and a week later you know the lyrics? This is the same thing. Keep in mind, you have to actually pay attention to the recording to make it stick. Tip number 5, chunk the information. This is great when memorizing numbers or a speech. If you're trying to memorize a phone number, divide it into 3 sections. Instead of memorizing 10 numbers at once, you will be memorizing 2 sets of 3 and a set of 4. This makes it much easier on the brain, even though you're still memorizing 10 numbers. All in all, memorization takes time. Using acronyms, connecting words with things you know, associating words with images, listening to a recording, and chunking information are all just tips. It comes down to repeating that information over and over again in your brain over a long period of time. Good luck. This month's vocab word is ambivalent. Ambivalence means to be in the state of being uncertain between 2 options. For example, during my test, I was facing a state of ambivalence. This month's quote is, "You've got what it takes, but it takes everything you've got." This quote says it all. Keep trying because you'll get there. Thank you.